Well, hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, an Apple Watch charging station. Well, this is a fly by the seat of my pants build. I have an idea in my mind, but I really don't know how it's going to turn out, or for that matter, I really don't know how to go about it at this point in time. So we're just going to wing it and see what happens. Guys, this project all starts off with scrap wood once again, as it's not a very big project, and it all starts off with a little chunk of maple that I found up in the rack. Well, those of you that have Apple Watches know that its charger looks like this. It's a magnetic disc, and basically it sits on your nightstand or wherever you charge your watch, and your watch basically snaps onto the back of it and it charges. Now, it has an alarm clock mode where it sits kind of sideways like this, and that automatically puts it into alarm clock mode. But I don't like sitting it like this. I don't know why. So I thought, how about if we make a stand to hold the watch in alarm clock mode when it's charging? So I went over to the rack and I found this chunk of maple, and this is what we're going to start off with. So I have chosen which will be the front face of my watch charger, and that will be this face right here, and I need to drill a hole that will accept our charging disc. So the first thing we're going to do is measure this disc. Millimeters. How did I get millimeters? There we go. Darn metric. All right, it's 1 3/32. So we're going to make that a little bigger because I won't have a Forstner bit for that, but 1 1/8 will do just fine. 1 1/8 in diameter, and it needs to be 1/4 of an inch deep. So we're going to drill that hole centered on our block of maple. And while we're here at the drill press, we will drill a 1/4 inch through hole right down through the center of where we just drilled this Forstner bit hole. Well, we still have a few more holes to drill, and the first one is going to be a series of 1/4 inch holes in the bottom of our watch charging station. We want it to be about 1/4 of an inch back from the edge. It's a 1/4 inch diameter hole, and we're going to drill until we cut into this hole that we drilled for our charging disc. We're going to drill about 1/4 of an inch into that. We're now going to take a sharp 1/2 inch chisel, and we're just going to chisel this off here so that we have a nice channel. This is actually a place for our USB plug to exit out of our charging station. So we've essentially created a mortise there, and we'll just clean it up on the other side as well. Now you may need to clean out some of the inside of this hole as well to give clearance for your USB plug. And we'll just check to see how we're doing here. Looks like we need a little more clearance. So I'm going to continue working on this, and you can do the same. Get enough clearance until you can get your USB plug out the back. Well, in no time at all, hopefully, you should have a little channel there that you can just push your USB connector through and get your watch charging disc in the hole. Now we're going to use some hot glue a little later to hold this in place. And what was that 1/4 inch through hole for? Well, that, my friends, is in case you need to get this thing out later, you can break the seal of the hot glue with a piece of dowel, and that will allow you to get your charger out if for some reason you suddenly decide you don't want to use this any longer. Well, I guess our next step should be shaping it. So our watch will wrap around this platform, but this isn't actually a shape that's very conducive to clamping a watch to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the watch in a configuration where I would normally wear it, just like that. And we're just going to see what kind of a shape we get here. Just like this. And then quite simply, I'm just going to trace around the handle of the watch, and then we're going to shape it, clean up the actual shape from the tracing, and we will shape it to match what we traced. All right, so there's the our rough shape. We're going to refine this and clean it up, and then we're going to take it over to the belt sander. And now, using the belt sander, we are just going to sand around up to our line to shape our charger in that oval shape that we just refined. All right, so I decided to save on my sanding belt a little bit, and I brought it over to the bandsaw and cut off the majority of the material, and now I'll sand up to the line. With our initial shaping done, we're just going to test it on our actual watch stand, and you know what? It's not exactly like I would have liked it. I would have liked it a little I would have liked it a little closer to the actual size that I wear, but I kind of like the way this fits, so I don't want to mess with it anymore. It fits on there nicely. It's nice and secure. So what do we do next? Well, now what I really need is to shape the bottom, because I don't like this sitting so perfectly upright. I would like to have it tilted back just a little bit. So once again, we're going to take it over to the sander, and I am just going to sand the bottom until I get a nice slope that I like. So in order to get consistent sanding results here, all I've done is placed a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch strip of scrap maple underneath the one end and flush to the edge, and that way it keeps the piece tilted at all times in order for me to sand it and get it nice and even. Well, I now need to get a groove from our slot here for our USB right out the back, and what that is going to be for is for our cord to come out. So I'm just going to use a trim router. I've got a 1/8 inch diameter round nose straight bit installed, and I'm just going to nibble away at this until I get my groove. Now I think I'd like mine to be just a little deeper here. So I'm gonna do that, and as well, this sharp corner right here, this is where your cord is gonna be coming around and out the back. So you really wanna make sure that you've got that rounded over. So get a small round file and get in there and take that sharp edge off so it doesn't damage your cord. And just to finish it off, we're going to give a 1/4 inch round over all around the top edge. Now give the entire thing a thorough sanding, and then we can come back and finish it off. Well, before I show you the final step, I'm just going to put a little bit of Danish oil on this just to kind of finish it off. I will end up putting a coat of varathane on this, or varnish, later on, but for now, just to finish the project for the show, we'll put a little bit of Danish oil on it just to get the wood sealed up. Well, now it's time to assemble our project, if you will. I don't know how you assemble a solid block of wood, but I'm going to try. So all you want to do is place your cord down through the slot, the USB slot that you did earlier. We'll just pull this through almost all the way, and then we're just going to use just a little dab of hot glue to hold our charger in. The reason I'm using a hot glue is I don't want a permanent connection in here. I don't want this in here forever. Who knows, I may change my mind one day and decide I don't want it in there. And there we go. Well, I have it a little crooked. There we are. And then of course your cord just goes along in your little groove that you made there. And once the glue is set up, that is your Apple Watch charging station completed. So now when you're charging your watch overnight and you want that alarm clock feature, there you go. Just like that. Charging and an alarm clock all in one shot. And there you have it. An Apple Watch charging station made from some scrap maple. Guys, this project lends itself to pretty much any species or any combination. If you want it to laminate a bunch of different contrasting species together to get upon your final block and use up smaller pieces of scrap, go for it. Why not? I mean, this whole thing today started as an experiment because I thought I had an idea that would work, and sure enough for me, it did work, and I'm quite pleased with the results. It's not too bulky, doesn't take up too much room, and it also allows my watch to stand up like that so that when I, wake up in the night and I look at my end table, I can see the darn thing and know that I still have 4 more hours before I have to get up and go to work, and yeah, what am I even doing up? Guys, just a load of fun with a minimum amount of equipment required. All I used was a belt sander. I used the bandsaw just a little bit. And, well, what else did I use? The drill press. These are all things that we have in our shop. If you don't have some of those, you could do it by hand. It's really not that big of a deal. Any of the curves or any of the shapes could easily be filed, and you could sand using a piece of sandpaper adhered to some 3/4 inch thick MDF. Just rub it back and forth, you get that nice flat surface, gives you a nice finish, and Bob's your uncle, no big deal. This will get some varnish put on it at some point in time just to give it a little bit of added protection, but in the name of a sort of time with the show and being able to finish the episode, I didn't put that finish on, and hence why just the Danish oil. Although I like Danish oil because it's kind of like it's a soft finish. That's what I like about it. It's a soft, kind of a velvety finish, and it has a really nice texture to it or a sheen rather, that I happen to really like. Anyway, for a couple hours work, not even that, how can you go wrong? Guys, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell so that you don't miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. I hope you've enjoyed this project. Honestly, for something so simple, it was a heck of a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. I know as soon as I bring it in, my wife is going to want one, and then I'm going to end up having to make a second one. But I'm okay with that because honestly, it was a load of fun. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you're going to try this one for yourself, and I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.